Hey everyone, I'm Harlan from Cointree, and welcome to another episode of Cointree Conversations, our series where we chat with industry experts about all things crypto. Today, I'm joined by Joe Shew, a foundational figure in the crypto space. Joe is the founder and CEO of Crypto Consulting Institute. Joe brings a wealth of experience and a unique perspective on responsible investing since diving into crypto in 2014. Joe has helped thousands transitions from hopeful beginners to sophisticated investors through his proven five-pillar investment system. His team have helped generate over $56 million in profits for clients and have recently launched CCI Capital, a private crypto investment fund. We're really keen to dive into his personal journeys, his origins of CCI, and how they're helping people build confidence in their crypto journey. It's great to have you here, Joe.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the intro and yeah, great to be here. Hopefully there'll be some insights that I can share in this session for people watching that might be an action step that they can implement straight away.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to have you. I guess let's just start in about kind of who you are and where you came from. So, can you tell us a little bit about what your personal journey into crypto was and what specific frustrations with more traditional finance kind of led you to start CCI in the first place?
Yeah, so I'll probably start with my university. So I
Mhm.
studied finance through the GFC, and that was probably the biggest door opener for me to start thinking really different, understanding how broken our current financial monetary system was and still is. So when I came across crypto in 2014, which was really on the back of the the Cypriot bank bail-in
Yeah.
that happened, where there was a challenge within the bank, mismanagement, and from that they start to take depositors' money, and the depositors started buying Bitcoin. And I was like, what is this? Why are they buying this Bitcoin thing? What does that even mean? So they were transitioning out of their monetary system and they saw Bitcoin as a safe haven at that point in time. So that's I guess the start of the journey that happened for me. And then I saw Silk Road as well, where people were buying different things online using Bitcoin as well. So that's when I was like, okay, cool. I need to learn more about this. And I was on a podcast the other day and I said, what really helped me on my journey, and one thing that I advise for anyone that's newer to crypto or even that's been in the space a little while, having that curious mindset where you go and actually investigate and get educated and informed is what really helps someone transition from that, oh, this could be a good idea, or no, this definitely isn't, to, okay, now I get it, now I understand it, now I can make an informed decision. And that's really what I would want and ask of everyone, because yeah, we all know the people that said I could have bought Bitcoin when it was X, but they never did the work or
Yeah.
got educated. So after that, I went to an event which was the first event the Blockchain Center in Melbourne ever did, with a very good friend of mine now, Martin Davidson. And there were three of us in the audience. And it was almost like every second word that he said, I asked him a question, because my mind was just like, wait, hold on a second. That's how this works. And this is how it's different. And it just really connected the dots of the first fully transparent monetary system that we could have full security and a transition of dependence upon the mouths that are feeding us, that increase the monetary supply by printing more, or interest rates, all of these things. And it was just programmed straight into the money where it made sense. And it couldn't be changed unless there was a 51% agreement in the network, which will never happen because no one wants to change it. They just hard fork it, such as Bitcoin Cash. But I won't get too far down the technical rabbit hole there. So that's where the journey started for me, where I became really curious in the space and I wanted to learn more and I started to understand more about it. And then really 2016 happened, which for a lot of people that wasn't a thing, but for me it was, because I'd been in the system
Yeah.
quite a while now and I'd been learning, and I saw my investments start to really appreciate. And that's
Mhm.
when I said, right, I need to take this to the next level. I was in a good financial position by then, and I quit what I was doing in finance, and then I
Yeah.
went all in on crypto, which, to be honest, it was actually stepping out and unconditioning myself from a traditional financial system and way of thinking. And I took a few months off, went and did a lot of spiritual work, meditation, other things, and I learned a lot about crypto. And
Mm.
I started to implement some of the strategies that I'd been using and developing in the stock market and transitioned some of that into crypto, but understanding it was obviously very unique. So you have to adapt and apply different things there. And that's really where a lot of people are saying, what are you doing? Like you don't work anymore, you're traveling all the time. Like how are you kind of living this lifestyle? So I started to share, oh, I do this crypto thing, and they got curious. I started teaching them, and it just became super clear. This is exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'm
Yeah.
in a position where I started investing in stocks when I was 12. So I'd had so much experience. Not that I was any good back then. I was definitely gambling, but I got the concept to get my money to work for me rather than working for money, in terms of a time exchange. So yeah, that was the real start on the journey of CCI, which was late 2016, early
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing. I think it's interesting to hear like those key aha moments that you've had throughout like traditional investment to how you got into crypto. And I love the fact that your story is not the I made it big, I bought a Lamborghini, and here we are conversation. I think that's such a common misconception in the world of cryptocurrency that unless you got in right at the ground and you bought a bunch of Bitcoin, you can't make an investment. And I think that's what you do so well at CCI is you try to kind of guide people in a way that lets them know that you didn't have to be one of the first people. You just have to be able to know what you want as an outcome and have a really like guided way of getting you there. And I think that's really unique. I think for me, I'm curious how your vision for empowering different individuals to, I guess, stay like create wealth, but in a very safe manner with crypto has changed. So obviously we're going back from 2016 to now in 2025. Crypto market has changed a lot. We've seen some bear markets, we've seen some bull markets. And how has that vision changed for you about helping people safely create wealth?
Yeah. Just to go back to the point that you said before about the Lambos and everything else, one thing that I did a ton of work on, like from the spiritual basis, and I continue to,
Mm.
as people's finances expand rapidly, the ego can grab hold of them, and then they can start to focus on all these material possessions and I want this and I want that. And for me, the journey has always been about other people. How can I enable and help other people and serve other people? I literally feel like I'm serving people in the role that I do. And that really takes me away from this need of I need to show that I'm super wealthy and successful. That's
Yeah.
not my badge of honor to be driving down the road. And yeah, sure, I live in an incredible place and I've got a lovely car,
Yeah.
but it's not like I'm taking photos of it and uploading it on my Facebook and just like, look how successful I am. My
Yeah.
measure of success is how much I can contribute to society through not only CCI, but the charities that we're connected to as well. So it's much
Absolutely.
wider than that. And that's a lot of what we talk about on the back end for clients that have also made a considerable amount of money in a
Mm.
short period of time, because it
Yeah,
does happen.
it does.
It's still the highest performing
Yeah,
asset class in history. So
absolutely.
yeah, a lot of my journey is also sharing with other people how do they transition away from getting stuck in, okay, now I'm just going to spend all this money. It's like, what do you actually want to do? What do you want to build? Which is going to have a lasting impact. And I still do believe the highest thing that we can do is contribution. If we can
Absolutely. And
contribute to humankind and make a difference, that's how we leave our impact. And it's not, I don't care about this whole legacy thing and like I've made all this difference and look at me, because that's just ego driven. What I
mm,
care about is genuinely getting clients check in and say, hey, I've been able to quit my job and now travel the world surfing, or
mm,
hey, I had no money in my retirement fund and I moved my self-managed super fund into crypto and now I can actually retire in an incredible way, which I never thought was possible. And they're all live cases. That was Barry that I was talking about, and the one before was Elliot, who actually now works for us.
yeah.
It's yeah, it's wild to see the transition. But coming back
Absolutely.
to the question, of safely creating wealth in crypto and what's changed for us. Nothing's changed for us in the sense that our focus is still the same. We
Yeah.
want to ensure that the strategies and the way that people approach the market from even asset management is focused around how do we play in the safe zone? How do we play in the middle ground rather than trying to shoot for these 10 or 100x returns in hyper speculative altcoins, which most of the time fail and go to zero? Is how do you separate yourself away from that with a long-term strategy that
Mm.
is really bulletproof? And
Yeah.
that means breaking down your investment into long, medium, and short term as well, depending on your skill level and where you're at. But yeah, it's just really teaching the fundamentals and the foundational things first, like mindset, like asset management and security, before we even look at what cryptos to buy and when to buy them.
Yeah.
And often people do it in reverse, where they go out and buy all these
Yes.
cryptos that someone shilled on YouTube or they made down the pub, and
Yeah.
then they've made money, but then they hand it back as quickly as they made it, and unfortunately, most of the time more,
Mm.
because they've got no idea what they're doing. So we're just trying to help bridge that gap for people to approach crypto in a non-gambling mentality, which I unfortunately think, especially in Australia, most people do, and be
Yes.
sophisticated in the approach to invest for decades, not 10
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. You've touched on so many different points that I want to get into, but I think one of the biggest ones for us is that this is why, for Cointree specifically, we align so well with you. You've known our current CEO, Jess Rendon, for years, and you guys have been in the scene together for such a long time. And I think that it's so clear when you speak to anyone from CCI that you guys are not sitting there trying to encourage people to make money for money's sake. And I really love the fact that you brought in the story about a self-managed super fund, because we help those types of customers all the time. You know, they get to a point in their life where they realize that their super isn't enough for retirement, and they maybe not. They need it either for medical, regular, everyday living. Something unexpected has happened. They've needed to use it sooner rather than later. And they are looking for a way to use funds that they already have to kind of capitalize on an investment, but in a safe way. And I think so many people think that crypto is unsafe because it's not in a traditional mannerism. But you guys have the proof points and the case studies to show so many different case studies of different people being able to do this in a very safe way. I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest things for me that you said that I want to go back to, because it's such an Australian example, is the fact that you caution people all the time about this gambling mentality. And I think this is one of like the biggest challenges for a new crypto investor that they face is they buy a bunch of coins because someone said, hey, that's a really great coin, you should get into it. And they make a return on their investment. And then they kind of get into almost like a panic. They either get the high of getting the money and trying to do it again, but then that time it doesn't necessarily work. Or they keep getting enough returns, but they get hooked on that. And then their strategy kind of falls by the wayside. And so, can you talk about how CCI gives you that more like strategic long term approach for your clients so that, yes, you can have gains and you can use those gains, but how do you do that in a safe way so that you don't fall into that gambling mentality?
Yeah, there's many things that I want to say, and I'll go back to the first point with Jess.
Yeah.
So I think it's such a great story. So after the blockchain center moved, we moved into Stone and Chalk, which was on Collins Street,
Yeah.
in
Yeah. The
Melbourne.
good shed.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
where I met Jess down there. Yeah, in the old wool shed, which was it was a long time. I think it was almost 8 years, 7, 8 years
Yeah.
ago now. So yeah, it's great to see the evolution of businesses in the crypto sphere and how long they've been operating as well, which I think a lot of people kind of think crypto's only just happened, but it's been here
Yeah.
for a long time now, 15 years. So it's not a new asset class anymore.
No.
And for the people in the SMSF realm or managing their super and they're getting to the point where, okay, we want to retire, but we recognize that we don't have
Mhm.
enough. The fear that people have with crypto is just that they don't understand it. And
Right.
the problem is their financial advisors cannot advise on crypto. So they do not advise crypto and they caution against crypto. Why? Because they can't make money on it. That is the fact. And that unfortunately misleads a lot of people. And that's where I think the whole financial advisory space is broken because people do their job to make money. If a financial advisor said, yes, I invest in crypto, and yes, I think crypto is a good investment, and yes, you should consider it, they don't make money off of that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
unfortunately, that's how most of them are. They are here with an intention to make money, not an intention to serve and make a difference. So it's a real shame that a lot of people are getting pushed away from the space purely just on that regard, that the
Oh,
people that are advising them and
mm,
supporting and helping them are just kind of focusing on themselves and their pocket at the end of the day. So for anyone that is curious in crypto and wants to transition and they're considering their self-managed super fund, it is
yeah.
the biggest movement happening right now in crypto.
It absolutely is. We see it happening all the time. We obviously service self-managed super funds because we have a lot of background in it here at Cointree. And I think a lot of people don't understand that there's so many different options of investing in this market. And as you said, it's actually not a new asset class, but I think for some of the community, especially in Australia, it feels new, and so there's that hesitation. But when you look at businesses like Cointree, CCI, we've been operating for 10 plus years. It's been going on for ages. It's not something that we started yesterday. And I think that's probably like the biggest misconception, that you've hit the nail on the head, is that people think, oh, well, it's brand new, maybe it won't exist in a few years. And it's the complete opposite. We actually see self-managed super funds taking off, and they're one of the largest asset classes in competition with major other countries. It's $1 billion asset class for self-managed super funds in Australia. And so many people are utilizing cryptocurrency now to ensure that they have that retirement safety net that is applicable for them. And I think that's probably the biggest difference. We all technically get the same super contribution from your employer here in Australia, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to safeguard you for what your lifestyle is like. Whether you have medical, other things that happen, people might need a different way of upping that income. And the couple percentage from your employer might not be hitting the mark. And that's where I think you guys do such a good job of trying to encourage people to look at their long-term investment, instead of trying to just make a couple bucks really quickly with buying some Bitcoin and selling it off. And I think that's the whole difference that you guys speak on, that we really try to encourage our customers as well, of, you know, get a strategic vision for what you want and then action it. Don't just take action without knowing why you're doing it.
Yeah, for sure. And circling back to a few other things, the stamp of approval came when the largest asset managers in the world launched ETFs.
Yep.
BlackRock, Fidelity, Citadel, like all of the biggest companies launched ETFs on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and also other assets
Yep.
now in the space are coming, like Solana, which already is. So when you see the largest asset managers in the world, when you see some of the largest companies in the world that are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, when you see the president of the US, the superpower still in the world, pushing cryptocurrency and holding it as a reserve asset for them, it's kind of not 2017 anymore. If we were in 2017, I would understand why people would be challenging this, saying, oh yeah, but it's so volatile and this. I say look to the data, look to the transition, but even more so, look to the results. Over the last 5 years, Bitcoin outperformed property.
Yes.
I think it was 12 times over.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
It outperformed the S&P 500, which was the highest performing asset class over the last 5 years, apart from Bitcoin, 4.5 times over.
Mm.
So the data shows and proves why so many people are transitioning into this space. They see the transition of the performance. And I understand for anyone that's a bit newer, they're hesitant because, oh, it's so volatile. Yes, it is more volatile than other asset classes because the market cap is a lot smaller. So it's easier to move the price up and down just because of
Absolutely.
the amount of flow. But if you look at the year-on-year performance over a long time, a long period, it just obliterates everything.
Yeah.
It's not even close. So for me, if I have some money in my super as an example, and I'm getting to the later stages in my life and I'm concerned,
Mhm.
it's every Stanley Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones, even Ray Dalio was saying the other day 15% allocation to gold and Bitcoin as an absolute must, not only because it's the fast and best performers, but it's also hard money and it's also an allocation against our current financial monetary system, which is broken and is very close to implosion with a $37 trillion debt in the US, a $1.1 trillion interest repayment, which continues to expand. And the only way to get out of that is to print more money, which causes inflation, which causes higher interest rates. It's the doom cycle that they're in.
Yeah.
So I think that's why a lot of these world-renowned hedge fund managers are transitioning to Bitcoin and gold as an asset class. And I think everyone should own percentages as an absolute base case of Bitcoin in their portfolio and potentially even wider than that.
Yeah.
Coming to the final part of the question around how do we transition people out of that gambling mentality,
Yeah.
we simply give them a framework.
Mm.
So everyone falls back to the standard that people uphold is the processes and the frameworks that they have.
Yeah.
If you have really good quality standards, which are enforced by your processes, then you change the way that you approach anything.
Absolutely.
So that's the simplest way to say it. We give people a Formula One car. A Formula One car in itself isn't good enough.
No.
Because not everyone can drive one. So we create
Right.
Formula One drivers and put them
Yeah.
in a Formula One car, and then they can drive it to its full potential. There's no one size fits all. Everyone has a
Yeah.
different risk tolerance, skill level, time that they can allocate, vision for how long they want to be in the market for. So we have strategies and risk tolerances for every different style of investor, and then we also tailor them to you with one-on-one assignments and assessments throughout working with us to make sure that it's really specific and unique for the individual investor. But all of it starts with up leveling the individual first. We
Yeah.
are only as good as us. Everything comes back to us because we make the decisions and we take the action or not.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits that you can have as a consumer is kind of aligning with someone that meets, I guess, your same goals that you see in yourself, right? So, yeah, as you said, there's no one size fits all situation, and everybody has a different level of skill and time. And that's a huge thing. And so, when you think about that, and I want you to put yourself as like a complete new person in the investment field, what is like maybe the top two biggest misconceptions or a challenge that a new crypto investor faces besides the gambling mentality? What else are kind of those initial big things that they really struggle with?
I think there's many things. I think a lot of people have themselves as the hurdle. So the
Mm,
limitation of this is too hard. I don't get tech. I don't get finance. I've invested in the past, but it didn't work out well. And all these challenges that they self-impose before they just get started. So I think again, it's a big part of what we help people with, letting go of old behavior patterns that haven't served them and reinforcing new positive behavior patterns that do serve them. Someone once asked me, like, what is success to you, or how
mm,
did you become so successful? And I said, I have incredible positive daily habits, and that was it. So even just that in itself helps people to say, "Oh, okay, I get that now," and that's a kind of a relief for me.
yeah.
Instead of trying to climb a mountain in a day, you're constantly taking 100 steps in the right direction. Where what I find in crypto is most people spin around in circles. They burn so much energy watching YouTube videos, going on in Facebook groups, and doing all these things that they shouldn't do, and they
Mm,
learn all the lessons that they shouldn't have to go through when they can just align with someone that's already achieved everything that they desire and much more and has a proven track record for a decade being the number one rated provider there is.
Yeah.
To me, it's just why would you try and do this alone when you can just partner up with someone? And they might not necessarily like not everyone might align necessarily with us, and that's fine. But
Yeah,
I recommend
totally.
aligning with someone
Mm,
that's got the experience, but more important than anything, has the proven track record.
yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are sharing information. Information doesn't get results.
Yeah, it's
That's the
really
disconnect.
interesting that you bring that up because I think one of the biggest things that we hear in the crypto space, and it's probably like the number one response when people are on panels or there's interviews going on and they say, like, what would you give advice to someone starting out? And I think everyone's initial response is do your own research. But I think in this space, and that's what I guess we're trying to highlight for our own audience here, is that in this space, there's a lot of people giving advice. There's a lot of people providing quote unquote research. And especially even now with the AI tools and things that are coming out on the market, unfortunately, there are some people who just literally chat GPT something, they pull it out, it happened to work for them, and then they kind of like tell everyone around them that that's a great strategy. And that's not necessarily, I guess, built on a foundation of someone wanting to see you win. And I think that's really the difference of CCI is that you want to see your customers win. You don't want to just make money because they're investing. You want to make sure that they're getting the results that they're after. And so I guess let's flip the coin on you. What would be your piece of advice that's not do your own research when you're getting into this space and you're trying to find someone like CCI to figure out if you align with them? How would you advise someone on finding that person you align with?
Yeah. Just coming back to, because I think you asked for 2 points before. The second point that I would say is the security and asset management. I think a lot of people have this fear of I'm going to get scammed, I'm going to lose my
Yes.
money, my crypto is going to be mismanaged. All of that stuff is super simple with a process to sidestep all of that and understand it. And again, that's all the things that we cover off. But coming into this realm and the question that you just asked, I will give experiences that I've personally had.
Yep. Okay.
Whenever I do something new, which is a lot of the time, the first thing that I do is go and find someone who's already achieved what I want
Mm,
because I don't want to waste my time, effort, potentially money, whatever it is, on doing all the things that they already know. So a
yeah.
great example would be the Iron Man. So
Yeah.
in 2020, I was like, cool, I'm ready to do the Iron Man now. So I went and found the best coach I could in Australia and I trained with him. We had the most incredible group of people who were training as well. So the network, you become kind of the average of the five people is the saying.
Yep.
So the network around that I had and the coach that I had, within 18 months, I came third in Australia in the
Mm,
Ironman, which is like the hardest race in the world.
yeah.
And it's because I had the coach, I had the environment, and I had the alignment and the desire to do it. So yeah, and it's not just that. Like I've worked with many spiritual people over the years, or relationship coaches, health and fitness professionals, like
Yeah.
even business mentors. A
Absolutely.
ton of them. I've flown. I spent multiple six figures on my own personal like mentorship, personal growth, development, anything like that. And I've traveled all around the world to sit in front of these people and have that direct contact. So
Yep.
I think just for anyone coming into this space, you have to do the research of who you're listening to, because
Yep.
whether you're on YouTube or whether you're actually getting a real good quality informed education, you're still being influenced one way or the other.
Absolutely.
And what most people do in crypto is they make these mistakes, they lose this money, and they're still no better off.
Mm,
Where if they just fast track that, they don't make all the mistakes and they speed through, okay, here's what I need to do, but I'm actually going to build the foundational stuff. Like
yeah.
this, the analogy I use is building a house.
Yeah.
Most people are building houses on sand in crypto.
Yes.
And after a while, they're like, oh no, why is the wall got a massive crack? Oh no, half the ceiling's just fallen through. and they can't build for the long term. The only way people build for the long term is by getting number one, investment psychology, and number two, safety and security and risk management first. That's
Yeah.
the foundations of the house, and then you can build as high as you want because you've
Yeah.
got a solid foundation and structure. So yeah, that's some of the things that I would say. But the best investment that anyone can ever make is in themselves.
Mm.
Whether your finances go up or down or sideways, the core root of all of this and the outcome is you still take yourself with you. And if you've up leveled yourself, then you'll bring that into the next thing, into the next thing. But if you haven't up leveled yourself and you've got all these cracks and you don't know why, it doesn't lead to a positive outcome.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you, I guess, some more fun questions. But before we get into that, for those who are just wondering how they can kind of connect with you in the short term, do you want to speak a little bit to the free resource that you guys have available that anyone can kind of join up if they don't want to spend money at this moment, but they want to get to know you better?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a ton of things. So we have reports that we've released. The investment report was one that I referenced where we made the comparison over different assets over the last 5 years. We've got basic foundational ones of the common mistakes that people make and how to overcome that. We made a 2025 trends report. So what do we see for this year at 25 and beyond? So they can do that stuff. We've got a ton of webinars with some of the most influential crypto people in the space, like James Check and James Seyfarth, the Bloomberg analyst, that people can go and watch as well. For anyone watching as well, I'm happy to give 30 days of our newsletter, our premium newsletter, which is a weekly release away. So people can kind of test drive and see what we do. So I guess you can share the link with that.
Yeah,
That's
wonderful.
super low cost, and that's a great way for people to transition in to crypto, or understanding more about CCI and seeing the caliber of the content that we create, which is
Yeah.
to me is far superior to what's out there in the market, given that we got 64 years combined experience across the team, which is pretty ridiculous.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, other than that, the main and the core program that we have, which it's not necessarily free, but the program that we have to take like newer investors who want to be really sophisticated and be here in 10 years' time and have really
Mm.
drastically changed their lives is the VIP program. And that's really built around five pillars: the investment psychology, the safety and asset management, different ways to transition in and out of the market safely, investment strategies, and asset selection. But there's a ton of other things around the side of it. But they're the core five pillars of the VIP program that we teach.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Joe. We will definitely be putting links into the different captions to help everybody get connected with you. But I always just like to highlight, I think businesses who put resources on their website that you can access without having to pay something is just quintessential, like box check. It feels like a safe person, right? You're not having to enter your email or do all these things. You can just see these people. And we'll obviously link the socials for CCI. You guys put out some really great content. And so we just want we want all of our customers to kind of be able to get connected with you guys. Further to that, for Cointree customers, we will be having a webinar in a couple weeks, so make sure that you kind of keep an eye out for that announcement. There will be a special offer for all Cointree customers who are involved in that. Okay, let's ask some like really funky questions because I think this is how people actually get to know that,
Yeah,
yes, crypto's a little bit serious and you might need to have an investment strategy. But at the end of the day, we're kind of all like these weird crypto nerds who have our own little things about different coins. So can you tell me your favorite of all time altcoin? It doesn't need to be something that performed well, but one that you've just like loved what it has stand for or the marketing or something they did that you really enjoyed.
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to suck at this question. I am what I teach, which is never fall in love with any crypto, because I think that can influence people's decisions to hold it
Yeah.
longer than they should. I think there's many interesting cryptos out there that
Mhm.
serve different purposes. I think a lot of the altcoins are going to zero. There's 37 million altcoins now, which is absolutely wild to see how far this has come. So yeah, I think there's so many different ones out there that have been built on we improve on scalability or security or
Yes.
decentralization, which is the trilemma in crypto. But most of them are just doing the same thing as different marketing, different spin up. And so yeah, I unfortunately I won't answer that because I certainly
That's
don't want
fine.
to influence anyone to be like, oh, this is Joe's favorite, we'll go and buy that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you ask me a more specific question,
Mm.
what's your, if you had to pick one meme coin, what would it be and why? Then I can answer that, which I'm happy
Okay,
to.
well then let's swap to that.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's figure
I'll
out
give
meme coin.
I'll give the dog a bone as such. So dog go to the moon. Uh,
Ah, yes.
dog, which is the top meme coin built on Bitcoin's blockchain.
Yes, yeah.
And that is why I aligned to it because the security of it is far superior to any other meme coin that's out there. People invest in meme coins because they're quite simply gambling instruments,
Yeah.
is the reality of them. I think a lot of them did build billions of dollars through
Mm.
zero product, and now they're investing heavily into NFTs, market gaming, and also having decentralized exchanges as well. So they're trying to create utility and purpose behind it to drive the value of it. But yeah, I think just for any crypto out there in the meme space, I would say Dog is the best quality, given that it's built on the Bitcoin blockchain and it is still the number one meme coin on Bitcoin's blockchain. So
Yeah, fair enough.
that's hopefully that I can give
No, it is, and it is
listeners.
definitely like a fan favorite. Look, I personally don't have a favorite altcoin either because I can always see, unfortunately, I guess like more of a bad outcome than a good one, right? So I think it's really easy to get kind of caught up in like they're always great imagery or great stories and things like that. And that part of it's really fun when it comes to crypto, but sometimes it doesn't have the gains in mind that you might be after. I guess with that, one of the biggest things that we've spoken today about is obviously people having gains and those gains being realized. But I know from experience, everyone at some point has had a loss that surprises them with cryptocurrency. You don't have to give any detail of the coin in particular that it happened with, but I'm sure you've had your days where you thought something was going to perform a certain way and it didn't. And I guess I'm curious, how do you deal with that when those days happen? Because we all know they happen. And I think there's this illusion that the lucky people never have that happen ever. And the coins they choose always perform so well. But we know that that's not the reality. So how do you deal when something that you have invested in drops a bit and you get that kind of like sinking feeling in your gut? How do you deal with that?
Absolutely. I'll give a live experience or a real experience that I went through, which
Mm.
I actually recorded a video and posted on YouTube because I thought it'd serve and
Oh
help
yeah.
people. It was Luna. So
Yeah.
fortunately, I cut Luna at the top and I was
Oh,
out of it fully. And as it dropped, I understood the whole algo peg kept feeding it into a death spiral and pulled down the price. Now, I believed that when it dropped below $1, there was going to be a short pump back up.
oh yeah.
And I thought, great, short-term trade, I'll get in, get out. Now, I think maybe I put 20 grand down, which for me is small. It probably sounds like a lot, but that's
Yeah.
not much. And then that turned into 100 grand in, I would say about 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool, this is interesting. So I added another 50K on top
Yeah.
and I built the position, turned it into 500,000, and I tried to sell. And as I was trying to sell, the wicks were so, there was no liquidity and I just couldn't fill my orders.
Oh
So
no.
I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll set a ton of sell orders.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that trigger, it was 2 a.m. at this point in time, and I thought, fine, I'm done. I don't want to do this. Certainly not how I typically trade, but I just saw this
Done.
opportunity in particular that one night. And yeah, I woke up in the morning and it was pretty much zero. None of my orders got filled because the liquidity was far too thin and the
Yeah.
order sizes were too big. And yeah, I watched $500,000 evaporate very quickly, which obviously it wasn't a major investment. I think it was only about 70K down
Yeah.
my pocket, but 500K was the realized gain that I was trying to exit. So how do I deal with that? In all honesty, I'm so detached
Yeah.
from money and outcomes. Money is by far like it's so far down the list of what's important to me.
Mm.
So, and that's probably what's helped me build the wealth that I have over the last 10 plus years. That I don't have such a like, oh, I need money and everything that I do is driven by money. But also, I've done so much work on myself, and this is what we teach our clients as well. How do you start your days? Like, what does your morning routine look like? I don't look at the charts until 10 a.m.
Yeah.
10 a.m. is the first time I look at the charts. And then I
Yeah.
look one more time in the day, which is 8 p.m. at night when the US market opens.
Right. Yeah.
2 times a day,
Yeah.
20 minutes maximum. And that's to reaffirm strategy, make any adjustments, and that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, from what helped me like rebound, it was just I came into that and I've got a bulletproof mindset because of all the work that I've done and the routine that I had even coming into that morning. And I
Mm.
was like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, my whole world has just fallen apart and I've lost so much money. Not like that at all. Unfortunately, it wasn't a ton of money for me, but it was still a significant amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, yeah, just allowing myself to move through that, but using myself as an example to help other people in that situation learn from it really well. Of like, don't try going for low liquidity altcoins, which a lot of people do. They chuck 10 grand in some that's got $100 million market cap or even less, $10 million market cap, and then they try and sell when the market starts crashing if it goes up and back down. There's no one to buy your crypto. And they
Mm.
don't get that when they sell, there has to be a buyer. And the problem that I had in that situation is I was trying to offload 500 grand and no one wanted to buy. It
Because
went,
everyone else had jumped ship already.
yeah, literally, it went down and it went up very quickly. It went from one below $1 up to I think it was $7.60
Yeah.
was the
Significant.
peak of the rebound.
Mm.
So it was like a 7x in we're talking hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it
Exactly.
was a very, very quick, short trade. So yeah, I learned a very good lesson from that. But I think anyone that is claiming to be someone that is, I don't know, influential or that you should be listening to, informed in any way, if they haven't gone through a bad experience on that front to any high level extent, then they haven't challenged themselves or pushed themselves or stepped outside. They've remained too risk averse maybe, or they're just not who they're claiming to be.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's a solid lesson that I had. That I, like I said, I was very open with. I recorded a video to help other people with it.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that, Joe. I think it's really important for everyone to know that we have all had those days and those moments. But I think what you highlight of how you deal with those just really kind of reaffirms what you're trying to do at CCI, which is basically build people up so that when that loss does happen, because it is unfortunate, but sometimes you bet on something that doesn't work and you like a coin and you invest in it, and sometimes it does drop, but that doesn't mean it's going away forever. And it could come back in a day, it could come back in a week. You just kind of have to know why you're in it. And so I think your story of kind of being a bit unfazed, it's like, yeah, look, that sucks. But I also knew I was kind of taking a risk by what I was doing. And that wasn't actually like my long-term goal wasn't to keep that for the night or keep it for a year. You knew what was going on in the market and you made an educated choice to kind of do that activity, and you didn't let it get you down to the point where you're like, oh, I'm going to pull out of crypto completely, I'm done. And I think that resilience in investing in cryptocurrencies is so important, and I think that's exactly what you guys try to do at CCI. I think we're probably good to wrap here unless there's anything else you'd like our listeners to know before we close out the session.
I think just the word of wisdom that I would say is, firstly, really understand what you're investing in,
Mm.
and secondly, invest for decades, not days.
Yeah.
That's such an important thing. People look at the volatility, the swings, and they try and time the tops and bottoms of the markets. Just be very systematic around how you approach it. manage risk where you can, but realize that this should be a long-term investment. This should be a multi-generational asset that you pass down, not something that you're trying to move in and out and time the market and sell all the holdings and make all the mistakes that most people do. Is play the middle ground, and I think find someone that's going to serve you or a team that can serve you and support you on that journey to maximize the performance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very well said. Thank you so much for that. And that's a wrap for this episode of Cointree Conversations. A massive thank you to Joe from Crypto Consulting Institute for joining us today and sharing your unique, valuable insights into your journey and to CCI's mission. We hope you picked up some fantastic tips and felt inspired by Joe's story and CCI's approach. If you found this conversation helpful, please don't forget to like this video and give us a follow. And stay tuned for more episodes where we continue to chat with industry leaders and dive deeper into everything crypto. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Cointree Conversations.